Everybody thinks Anthropic is destroying software industry, which is true. But there was one tweet that broke this whole software industry. In Feb 2025, Andrej Karpathy, a founding member of OpenAI, the man who built Tesla's self-driving brain, wrote a tweet that changed everything. There is a new kind of coding. I call it vibe coding, where you fully give into the vibes and forget that code even exists. Karpathy described just copy-pasting error messages back to the AI, never reading the code it wrote, and letting it grow beyond its own understanding. His exact words were, "I just see stuff, say stuff, run stuff, and mostly it works." That tweet went viral because the internet laughed at him. Developers rolled their eyes. Senior engineers said this was a toy for people who don't know what they're doing. Now look at the reality. 8 months later, a startup called Lovable built on that exact idea and hit $100 million in annual revenue with 60 employees and just 8 months. I will give you an even better story which is happening right from Bangalore itself. Two brothers from Bihar built an AI startup in Bangalore called Emergent, fully powered by Claude. You might have noticed this startup in India AI Summit. They're sitting on a $300 million valuation after just 7 months. The crazy part is 70% of their 5 million users have never written a single line of code in their lives. People like you and me can chat with the platform and build softwares. I will give you even more realistic situation with my example. So far, I have built 4 softwares, all by using Claude, and I'm not a software engineer. One of them is a writing and note-taking app. I was a hardcore fan of Evernote. I had to drop it because of the subscription fees. I am building my own writing app using Claude. I don't have to pay any money for the subscription. If I want to tweak it, I just need to share that particular code with Claude and Claude will rewrite that entire code for me. This is not a story about technology. This is a story about who gets to build the future. And in the future, everybody is a software engineer building apps left, right, center. Now, what does this mean for you? The main thing is understanding the new mega industry which is being built on infrastructure like Claude. I'm going to break down the rise of vibe coding industry in this video. But before that, I'm building India's first crowdsourced report using real data from working professionals like you. The link for the survey is in the description. It only takes 2 minutes of your time and it is anonymous. Kindly participate. Now let's get started with vibe coding. Now what is vibe coding? Let me make this simple for you. Traditional software development works like this. You have an idea, you hire software engineers. They spend months writing codes, fixing bugs, arguing about which database to use. You burn lakhs of rupees before you have anything to show to your customers because you are not a technical founder. You may be a finance professional, a small business owner, someone with a brilliant idea but no coding background. You are completely dependent on someone else to execute that vision. Now, vibe coding ends the dependency. You open a platform, you type what you want to build the same way you would send a WhatsApp message to a friend. And the AI platform reads your words and builds what exactly you want. Not a template, not a drag and drop wireframe, a real fully functional application. Front-end, back-end, database, authentication, payment integration, deployment, all of it generated and shipped. If the process is simple, sometimes you can do the entire thing within 1 hour. That's it. You give your vibe typing or voice typing and the product is ready for you. The whole new industry is getting built on this vibe coding. And I'm going to give you some insights so that you are aware of what's happening and what is going to happen in the industry. First, let's look at the market. I'm going to assume you are not a big risk taker when it comes to investing because in my survey, the majority are from mutual fund investors. If you are someone who is into mutual funds and basic stocks because you do not want to spend much time on studying the industry, here is a simple breakdown for you. In 2023, the AI-assisted programming market was just $5 billion. By 2025, the pure vibe coding segment is around $6 billion. Not a big difference because the startups have just started building their companies and started making money. If you look at the projected rate by 2030, the industry will cross $26 billion. India's entire domestic software market, every app, every enterprise tool, every SaaS product sold in India is just around $18.4 billion in 2025 as per IDC. Vibe coding is on track to be double that size globally by 2032. Now, why should this graph matter specifically to Indian investors? Asia Pacific, led by India, China, and Southeast Asia, is projected to grow at 35% CAGR, the fastest of any region globally. India is not a footnote in this story. The data says India could be at the center of it. Now, the first analysis had a lot of industry projections. Now, let's look at who is making money in this new industry. If you look at this chart carefully, this is where the real power structure of this industry becomes visible. The tallest bar is Anthropic, the company behind Claude AI, $3 billion in annual recurring revenue. And the reason that bar is the tallest is because almost every other company on this chart is paying Anthropic every single month. Cursor pays Anthropic, Replit pays Anthropic, Lovable pays Anthropic. If you look at one of the major segments of Claude Code alone, Anthropic's own vibe coding tool, crossed $1 billion in run rate revenue just 6 months after its public launch. The vibe coding startups are not just competitors building on similar ideas, they're customers of the same infrastructure. Then we have Copilot at $2 billion ARR. That is a Microsoft product running on OpenAI models. Cursor is at $500 million ARR. Replit is really on a fast growth mode. The revenue grew from $2.8 million to $150 million in just 1 year. The combined valuation of the top 5 vibe coding platforms went from $8 billion in mid-2024 to over $36 billion by 2025. Here is the one line that explains the entire business model of this industry. In a gold rush, the people who sell shovels get rich the fastest. Anthropic is selling the shovels. And every vibe coding startup on this chart is buying them at scale every single day. Now let's look at the emerging story of India, Emergent. Mukund and Madhav are twin brothers. Both studied engineering, both went to the US for higher education. Mukund joins Google as an intern, rises through the ranks, and eventually co-founded Dunzo, India's first quick commerce company backed by Google and Reliance. The other brother, Madhav, got his PhD in theoretical computer science and was part of the founding team that built Amazon SageMaker, one of the most widely used machine learning platforms in the world. When Dunzo collapsed in 2024, Mukund did not go back to job. He called his brother and said, "Let's build something for the next 20 years. They applied to Y Combinator with no business plan and got accepted, raised $5 million from Girish Mathruboo's Together Fund. And in June 2025, they launched Emergent, a platform that lets everyone build full-stack web and mobile applications using just natural language. This platform is built entirely with Claude. That is the power of vibe coding. Now look at this growth curve. In 90 days from the launch, $15 million ARR. By December 2025, $25 million ARR. And 2.5 million users. In January 2026, just 7 months after the launch, they raised a Series B funding of $70 million. Emergent has 5 million users across 190 countries. 70 of the 75 employees work out of Bangalore, and the engine under that hood is Claude. Anthropic's own case study on Emergent explains exactly how it works. Claude writes complete code bases averaging 5,000 lines of codes. Multiple Claude instances run simultaneously, handling front-end, back-end, testing, and deployment. Claude debugs errors autonomously without any human involvement. And Claude makes architectural designs on which tech stacks to use. This is a $300 million company built in Bengaluru by 2 brothers from Bihar in just 7 months. Many people talk about Sarvam, but this is truly the India AI story. Now let me tell you what this actually means for the software industry and why the people who are not paying attention to this are going to get blindsided. The first disruption is entry-level software jobs. A VC firm that tracks tech hiring data found that new hires with less than 1 year of experience fell 24% in 2024. Google CEO said over 30% of Google's new code is now AI generated. Amazon CEO said the company saved the equivalent of thousands of developer years using AI coding tools. The entry-level coding job, which has been the primary career ramp for millions of Indian engineers for the last 2 decades, is being automated at the bottom faster than the industry is creating new roles at the top. The second disruption is to Indian IT outsourcing. The entire business model of Indian IT, Infosys, Wipro, TCS, HCL, is built on selling developer hours to global clients. What happens when non-technical founder in the US or Europe can build their own internal tool using Emergent or Lovable in 4 hours instead of outsourcing a 6-month project to Bangalore? Of course, the volume of work does not disappear overnight, but the pricing power gets destroyed slowly. The third disruption is the one nobody is talking about yet, and this is the opportunity side of the same coin. The cost of building a software startup is collapsing nearly to zero. Now, what this means is a product manager sitting in Hyderabad with a great fintech idea no longer needs a CTO or a 15-people engineering team. She needs Claude, she needs Emergent, and she needs a clear understanding of the problem she is solving. The barrier to software entrepreneurship, which was always capital and technical talent, which is usually the biggest team of engineers, has effectively been removed. 25% of Y Combinator's winter 2025 batch had 95% of their code written by AI. These are not toy projects. These are funded startups building real businesses. And the next generation of these founders, the people who will build the next Zerodha, the next Policy Bazaar, the next Razorpay, will not spend 18 months and 3 crore rupees building their MVP. They will spend just 3 weeks and describe what they want to Claude. Claude does the magic. The new billionaires from this wave are already emerging. Dario from Anthropic, the founder of Cursor and Lovable, and very possibly Mukund and Madhav from Emergent. One tweet in February 2025 started a $37 billion industry. The software economy just got democratized. The question for you is not whether the vibe coding is real. The revenue numbers answer that question. The real question is whether you are watching this disruption happening from outside or whether you are building on top of it, or you are learning deeply about the industry so that you know where to invest. The market is real. The Indian founders already proving it can be done. Lastly, I know some software engineer will be sitting on the corner thinking, fucker, do you know the real cost of vibe coding? I wanted to address that, but this is a positive vibe video. I will make a separate video on the real cost of vibe coding. But before you drop off, please participate in the survey link and make it 500. The link for the survey is in the description, and I will see you in the next video.